So, hello everyone. As Dipisha just said, my talk is on open forms, a form that works for you, not you for it. So, a bit about me. I'm Aryan Kaushik. I'm a GNOME Foundation member as well as a Ubuntu member. So, I play double game. I have been a member of the GNOME internship committee and was myself an intern at GNOME in GSOC 2022. I've also been an intern at Chromium, so all the Google fanboys, and I'm a maintainer of Logo Menu. It's a GNOME extension with I think around 20 million downloads now or something. So really proud of that one project. So before we start, we first need to understand what the problem is. Why does this app exist? Why we created it? And what's the whole backstory behind it? Because without a problem, if you create a solution, then it's a solution without a problem. So the problem was most form tools require Wi-Fi connection. You use Google Forms, Jot Forms, Microsoft Forms, or like any plethora of forms. They all require one thing, that is Wi-Fi. And what do we hate at conferences? Wi-Fi. So whenever we go, it's like, oh, there are too many users. There's this black spot. Okay, this university is using maybe routers from 1999, or there's some kind of issue that okay, Wi-Fi is not reliable. I am hitting the Wi-Fi here. I have to use my own mobile network. And what happens then is your forms doesn't work. You can't accept service, you can't accept responses because your whole network is down right now. Especially the boot area. If you see, the boots are not in the main area. Like most of the times they are in an area where there's either low bandwidth or there's like blackouts or black spots over there where it's not working exactly. So that was the main issue which we wanted to solve, that if my network goes down, I don't want my forms to go down, I don't want my service to go down, I want my boots to be running seamlessly even without it. Plus, to store data on proprietary platforms. So Google Forms, again, on Google servers, and Microsoft on Microsoft servers. And we all know that if we do proprietary things at open source conferences, it doesn't fare that well. People have strong opinions, and many might not even like to fill it up because they're like, I don't want my data to go to Google's or Microsoft servers. So that was another issue. The next one is all form tools need browsers, and browsers are their own bubble. So it acts like its own operating system, right? If you have an app installed on GNOME, it would feel like a GNOME's application. Like it will have the HIG of GNOME. You would be easily clicking with it that, okay, this is how I have to operate it. But when you open a website on the browser, everything lives in its own bubble. Everything has its own UI, its own design, and it's really hard to navigate around. But we wanted a solution which is just feels native, that whoever comes up to open source conference knows how to use it exactly. Plus, again, captive portals and Wi-Fi drivers. I think we all know how Wi-Fi drivers are on Linux, right? They are a bliss to run. Wi-Fi runs amazingly on Linux. So we had to solve that as well. So what's the solution? Like, we have covered all the problems, but what does at the end come out of it? Open forms. Or at least I hope it comes up, because I still need people to tell me that, hey, this is the solution. Because we can only create it. It's the users who tell that, okay, it worked or it didn't work. And we will learn later on that whole feedback as well. So the origin story. So that's me around on the right side, and on the left is Moro. Like, he runs the Ubuntu community boots. And last year at GUADEC 2026, we were doing just that. So I was just a speaker. I was not manning the boot, but being a Ubuntu member, I thought that why not? I should help. So I was helping around the boot, and one problem which we were facing is the Wi-Fi wasn't working. The conference Wi-Fi was working, so before any organizer shouts at me, yes, the Wi-Fi was good. It's just the captive portal had some kind of broken relationship with the tablet, that they were just keep crashing the whole tablet. So whenever we logged into the conference Wi-Fi, the tablet crashed. We had to restart. Then we retried it. Again, we have to restart. So we restarted the tablet around 5 times. Then we got to know, okay, this marriage is far beyond our control and we can't control it. So at that moment, what we had to do was we took Moro's phone, we bolted it down to the boot, that okay, now you have to sit here the whole day because it's your Wi-Fi that is running the whole survey platform right now. And the problem was that if he had to go to attend a talk and I'm manning the boot, then he is without his phone, because you can't take your phone. That phone is the whole heartbeat of that boot. So At that moment, out of despair came the problem that, hey, we need something that can solve this issue. But why re-engineer the wheel? Surely, like, if you go to college and everything, like one of the first projects somebody build is a form application. It's the most simplest thing somebody builds while learning web development. That, okay, this is how I will create a form, this is how I will collect the service. So I scoured the internet that there would be one solution that I can use that I would not have to re-engineer. But I found none. There's like no form application which doesn't use internet or doesn't use your browser or doesn't rely any of those things. So what are the gaps in the Forms app that I found? One, they need a browser to run. They need the whole web stack to run. Even if you download the offline versions of these forms, like I think Jot Forms has an offline version, it still runs as a web service. So you have to fire up the whole web server and then you have to open it in your browser and do the whole shenanigan just to collect one single response. And I don't think we can have a sweet, hopeful boot runners use that. The second thing was there are solutions like Xforms, but they use XML. And we know how great XML is to write, and surely our loving boot workers would love to write one XML form. Then again, most platforms still needed internet for something or the another. And if you are using Linux mobile, then running a web server on it, firing up the whole thing, like I don't think anybody wants to go through that whole process. So how OpenForms fits in? Simply think it's a local first form. You don't need internet access. You don't need to fire up a web server. You don't need to like juggle around a web browser, open up 10 different websites to run the form. You just simply use the app. It's built with GTK and libadwaita, so it fits into GNOME. It doesn't have to behave like a completely different bubble or completely different environment out of things. And your data is collected offline only. So no data goes to a server of Google, Microsoft, or whichever company you hate in the world. We won't be using that. Your data lives locally on your system. Plus, it could be accessible. So because GNOME already has support for great accessibility libraries and requirements, so you can plug into those as well. And it's open source first. It's built with libadwaita because of the mobile experience. Now we already know that if I try to build two different app versions, like one for mobile, one for desktop, then I'm just gonna hate my life maintaining both versions of the same thing. But with libadwaita, thanks to all the developers who work on it, you are a lifesaver. I don't have to do that jargon myself. I can just rely on the library to do that for me. It's built with JSON, so we already know JSON is much better than XML. And everybody in the world know how to write JSON. If you don't know how to write JSON, what are you doing in the world? But we are JSON supremacy, and it's a native app, not another web page. But I lied. JSON, not everybody likes JSON, right? And the thing is, when I wrote the application, it was JSON first, that you wrote a JSON config and everything. And then I was showing my sister that, hey, I built this app. And she was like, who the, you can fill in the gaps, write JSON for the forms. And I was like, it's open source conference, people surely know what JSON is. And she was like, well, if I go as a community volunteer, I don't know what JSON is. I can be a community part, but maybe I don't know how to write one. Or even if I know how to write one, maybe I don't hate my life enough to do that for just firing up a form. So I was like, good thought. And then I built the GUI builder. So in the GUI builder, you can just select what fields you want. It still saves as JSON, so you can easily modify it. You can easily share it over the internet on any email platform, whatever you want. But it gives you a good enough UI that you can create easily at the fly, and you don't have to write that whole thing up. And you can see all the field types which are currently supported, like most of the form fields that you would need, like date, times, images, text, checkbox, all of those. Now, why did I use GTK4 plus libadwaita itself? Surely there are other libraries like Qt or like other proprietary software applications as well. The answer is because I love GNOME. No, it's because, well, I love GNOME, not saying no to that, but that was not the only reason. The main reason was the out-of-box responsiveness that came with libadwaita. I can make it small, it fits in. I can make it large, it again fits in. I mostly use GNOME for my daily drivers, so it fits into that whole desktop scheme. Most Linux platforms also use something derived from GTK, so it just fits in everywhere. I get platform consistency, so I don't have to have a different UI for everything. And I get the GNOME HIG free of cost, right? Everybody who uses GNOME already knows, okay, this button is primary button, this is suggestive button, okay, this is how you scroll, this is how you click. So they know how the whole app works without even learning from a 10-page manual or something. So this is the screenshot of the app. So the front page, you can see that we have multi-tab support. This also came with libadwaita. I wouldn't have built multi-tab support myself. I would just have said that open 10 different form windows. But because I have tabs from libadwaita, I could just utilize that. So you create a new tab, you select a JSON config, or you create one or you edit one. Again, JSON is just saved in the system. You don't have to write JSON yourself. It's all GUI. And you can select then the form CSV, or you can create a new CSV. And the idea of CSV came with the thought that if we store in a format which is like scalable enough that you can open in any spreadsheet application, then you can at the end of the day combine the responses together. So if there are 10 different people running the boot, like at like 10 different locations, you can at the end of the day combine the CSVs together and you have the whole answer of the things. And that is how it looks on the right when you open a form. You have support for the whole CSS library of GNOME. So you can specify a CSS field like title field, subtitle field, and it will just fit into that whole theme of GNOME. So you can customize your form to look how you want. If you want colors or everything, you have the whole CSS available to you to use there. You have required field supports and images also work. This was again what I was talking about libadwaita, that this is how it looks on desktop, but if you go to a mobile view, it just moves into a pop-up. One of the best things I like about libadwaita is this kind of scalability. And again, the tabs window, I surely don't have enough time in the world to create a tab like layout like this, but with libadwaita again, it just plugs in. So how does it now work at Ubuntu boot? We have zero downtime. We can easily use the application anywhere. You can use it on a tablet, you can use it on a desktop, Raspberry Pi, whatever your flavor of computing is, you can use it there. You can easily use the CSV file, and now we don't have to work as a marriage broker between Wi-Fi drivers, Linux, and conferences, Forms app, all of those things. So yeah, everything is great, right? The talk is over. Everybody loves it. You can just go download the application, enjoy, and we don't have to hate forms anymore. No. The answer is never that simple that, okay, I've built things and they're okay. And the matter of fact, big no, because it is much further than I thought that a simple form app would need to be. But why? Like I've showed, okay, that is a form running up. You can fill the form, you can submit responses. That's all what we wanted the ad. It's offline first. You don't have to use the internet. You don't have to use the browser. So everything is done. What remains? Now we have to go to the Ubuntu boot pane. So a few days ago, only before the conference, like that was actually the last slide before. They were then the slides of me praising the whole thing up. But then I was talking with Mauro. I was like, hey, in the talk title, I said that I will be giving real life stories. So can you tell me how it's feeling at the boot? And then we talked and we discussed, and then we got to know that, okay, why we are not using it as much as we thought we would be using it. And the reasons were no drop down support. It might sound simple, but if you have like radio button, it doesn't feel that good. If you have a drop down, it feels like a drop down. So one thing was the field support, that we don't have all the fields there. No helper text. So if I have a field like your name, maybe I want a helper text with it. Or if I have some kind of field that, okay, how did you like the conference? I want to give them a description that give 20 characters only. If you give more, then I will discard your response. Maybe whatever you want. We don't have that. We don't have a placeholder. We have to then behind conference stuff. So one problem he told me was that we have, let's say, 200 people in our team, and everybody of them is going to conferences collecting response. Now I have to email all of those people that, hey, you haven't shared the responses with me yet, you haven't shared the CSV with me yet. With Google Forms, it's just, okay, I opened the spreadsheet, they are using the company's like drive, they have the responses already. Now they don't have that. Now they have to run behind everybody that give me the responses, and if somebody goes offline, triple O, the responses are gone, and a lot more. So what's the solution? At the end, we have to solve the issue, right? Just go back to Google Forms, because I am too tired at this point to fix your form application. You can use whatever suits you the best, and that's Google Forms. Yeah. I would have said that if I didn't have that bug in me to like fix everything up. So that was me that day clanging at my keyboard. The GIF wasn't working, so I had to paste the image. Sorry for that. But you can imagine him doing this on the keyboard right now. So how did we go towards hopefully the success of the application? We added a drop-down support, so you can just select any option you want. So field types are getting added every day as we speak. We added helper text and placeholder text. So finally you can have these kind of helpers and not John Doe kind of placeholders or whatever you want to add that. You now have full customizability regarding that. So that one is also solved. And the kiosk mode, like this one is one which I am really thinking would be one of the greater deal out there. So whenever you submit Google Forms, it gives you a window, right, that okay, submit another response kind of button and shows a helpful text that hey, your response is submitted, or it gives some kind of answer in the end that okay, this is what's done or what's not done. Now that didn't exist yet, so I thought, why not have that? And if you are having that, why not customize it? So you can set that in how many seconds would that message go away. So it ought to go is in like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever your fear is. You can also set an idle timeout. So let's say somebody came to the boot, they wrote some kind of response, and you are not at the boot right now. Who would clear the form up? Right, that's the issue that you get with the real life use, that okay, somebody filled the form, now another person has to clear it, write things themselves and do the whole shenanigan. Now you have auto clear, so in 60 seconds if somebody doesn't use the forms, it will auto clear and it's fresh for the another person to use. And you can also have like these kiosk mode saved in the JSON, so it auto loads whenever anybody uses the config, or you can do it every time if you want that. Plus, it goes into full screen mode now, so you don't get all those like window controls, tab bar, and everything. So you get a single view of the form app only, so users don't have to struggle and see where I had to click. A preview pane. So earlier it was you write JSON, then you load it up, then you see how the form was, then you go back, you again write JSON, then you again load it up. So it was a whole circle of life. So this is something which I faced. So we build the preview pane. So now you edit the form, you see on the right side the preview of it, and you know, okay, this is how the form would look in the end. So you don't have to go that whole circle of life. Form history. This is again one struggle which I faced. So let's say I am developing the app. I need to go and again open the CSV, again open the JSON, and again I won't use it. With browsers, I bookmark the link, I open the link, my form is there. I just go to the history, I open it, it's there. So we build the history pane, so you can automatically open the form which you opened last time easily without having to do the whole thing. Response preview window, so you don't have to open the CSV in, let's say, LibreOffice Calc or some kind of spreadsheet application. You can just open all the responses directly from the app itself. That was another of the issue that, okay, I want to see who submitted the form responses quickly, or I want to delete it quickly. Now I have to open it up in a whole spreadsheet viewer, import it, save it, do all kind of things. Now I can just view them directly from the app. I don't have to go to any of that applications. And the last one, sync. So I know I said it's built for only offline purposes, but then we realized that not everything can be offline in the world. There needs to be sometimes some internet access involved. So the app is offline first. You don't need internet absolutely. If you don't have internet, if you're living in a jungle, it would still work. It would still save responses. But in case you are fortunate enough to have Wi-Fi, you can connect to your either WebDev, Nextcloud, or Google Sheets account, and you can sync the form. So now if there are 10 boot workers and you get internet, then the form responses would be synced up. The response would still be stored locally first on the CSV, and whenever it gets the internet, maybe let's say after 1 hour, 2 hour, whenever you get the access, you can either manually sync up by the sync now button, or it would automatically sync if the form is still open for you. So this is how the user feedback sync field opens up. So you can open a dialog box. You can select if you want to sync, if you want to disable the whole sync thing. If you want to, then with which platform do you want to sync, and then you can select it and it will store the responses. So this is user case story which Mod also gave me that. Now what we can do is we can print a QR code with the Google Forms link. So you can do it on your home systems. When you are at the home, you can fill the Google form. But if you connect the same spreadsheet with the same layout to Open Forms, then at the conference you can still collect responses, but locally. And people at the home can still use Google Forms whenever they want to give responses. And all of them go to the same CSV. So all of these features are to be shipped soon. They are still not landed in the app. I'm still testing them out, but they are pushed to the GitHub repository except the sync part that I need to first check a lot more. So what I learned is there are still plenty of apps that could be developed. We always think that, okay, everything is developed in the world, but these stories are when you know that, okay, there are still things missing that we need to create as application developers and go behind them and solve real life use cases. And that nobody likes to write JSON. GUI is more important sometimes. And like there are multitudes of release that goes into making a thing usable for everyday use. It's not one day that you spin up an app and it's done. You have to keep iterating and iterating, collect user responses, collect the feedback, and then involve them in your journey. The power of GUADEC is that Ubuntu boot led to a solution in the GNOME platform, which will help maybe a lot more communities rather than just Canonical or just GUADEC or just GNOME, right? So conferences like GUADEC or GNOME Asia or GNOME Latam, like they're or KDA Academy, like all of these are conferences, right? And they help bring people together from different companies, maybe Igalia, Red Hat, Fedora, Red Hat, Fedora, same thing, but like Canonical and like all those companies come together and they share one roof, and then you can see, okay, what problem everybody is facing and then fix them up real time. The app is available as a Flatpak manifest. Like I haven't hosted it on FlatHub yet. I still need to see the whole process of it, but it's available on Snap Store because Canonical, Ubuntu, and those things. And the source code is open, so if anybody wants to check it out, and bug fixes and reports are what we want. These are some of the future scope. I need more accessibility support because DIY, and I want more people to be able to use it. And let's rethink apps, not forms, all apps, because everywhere there could be scope of improvements. So do we have time for questions, or if there are any? Okay. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you use it.